Hi guys, it's me again. I am actually here now to do my 34-week bump date. Now the last video that I did was yesterday, and it was just a quick update to tell you that I'm back and that I'm going to be doing this video. I haven't had a lot of videos in the past like I described. I think I've now currently got six or seven videos, but they're not, they're not amazing because I started off with my trying to conceive tag. And then my next video, I was going to do loads of other trying to conceive things, but my next video ended up being I'm pregnant. So that was my 4-week one. And then I had a couple of others with some updates as to why I wasn't uploading them very often. And that was because I've had hyperemesis gravidarum, which is morning sickness times 1,000,000%. It was just ridiculous. Morning, it wasn't even just, they don't say morning sickness is just in the morning, because it's not, but it wasn't morning sickness. I was actually diagnosed with a proper illness. I was sick multiple times a day. I couldn't eat anything, could barely keep toast down, I could barely keep anything down. I couldn't keep water down. Every time I had a sip of water it made me feel sick, and then it all came up. And I think that's where I last left you guys, was when I was 8 weeks pregnant and I was in the middle, like gearing up to the, the bit where I was the most ill. I think I was most sick around 10 weeks. If I keep looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes, because I've got a lot to tell you, so I've had to write it all down. And yeah, so at 11 weeks, well, like I said, I left you guys at 8 weeks. So if you want to go look back and look at my videos, you can see what happened up until 8 weeks. And then I'm going to try and fill you guys in as much as I possibly can in this video, and then tell you how I am now. If you see me bouncing around, it's because I'm on my birthing ball. It's just so much comfier than sitting on a chair. Ignore the background behind me, it's rubbish. I need to set up my own, YouTube space. I need to sit by this natural light because it's starting to go dark, and the artificial light, I haven't got proper lighting for videos, so I'm trying to use as much natural light as possible, so I'm in this position that's really awkward. But so I last left you guys at 8 weeks. And the next significant thing that happened was at 11 weeks. I had a bit of a bleed, so my midwife wanted to get me in for a scan to see, obviously, if everything was okay. It was around 10 or 11 weeks. So we went in, had a scan, and everything was perfectly fine. They said the bleed could have just been like old blood. I don't know whether it could have been from implantation, because that was obviously a very long time before that, but it was old blood, and they said it was nothing to worry about. Baby was perfectly fine. And then I was still, this hyperemesis that I had was still ongoing. I was still being sick. I was still really ill. I couldn't go out. I was off work in total for just under 3 months, which is a long time. And I didn't, obviously because I was off, I was running out of money. It was such a stressful time because I had my daughter to look after. I was so sick. I was in bed. But that lasted weeks. But when I was 12 weeks was when it peaked. It was when the hyperemesis was at its worst. I got admitted into hospital for dehydration. I had to go on a drip with all sorts of stuff. I had IVs for dehydration, so I had fluids, I had antibiotics, I had, what else did I have? Anti-sickness medication going through me. But at hospital it seemed to be better, because obviously I had fluids inside me, made me feel a bit better because I was dehydrated. And the anti-sickness medication seems to work. So they discharged me with the tablet form of the anti-sickness tablets that they gave me through the drip. So I got discharged with them, and they seemed to work. I wasn't sick from being discharged up until about 18 weeks. So that's another 6 weeks I had of hyperemesis, but I wasn't physically throwing up as much as I was before. So the anti-sickness tablets were working. The anti-sickness tablets were working because I wasn't being as sick as much. And I still felt the nausea and the horribleness, but I was okay enough to go back to work. So I went back to work, at about 14 weeks with those medications, and I seemed to get better gradually anyway. And I had my 12-week scan, and that was perfectly fine. Everything's fine with the scan. I'll input some photos actually of the scan, all the scans that I'm going to be talking about and everything. I'm going to like put a little picture in, or cover my whole face with a picture or something of the scan so you guys can see. But the 12-week scan was perfectly fine, nothing to worry about whatsoever. Like I said, went back to work at 14 weeks, and so I was off from, I think I was 7 weeks pregnant. No, I was 6 weeks pregnant, and I was off until I was 14 weeks. So between 2 and 3 months I was off, which is quite a long time. The next thing that happened, sorry if I sound out of breath, I just got over a cold, so my body's kind of like trying to catch up with me. 16 weeks, we had a private gender scan that we paid for to find out whether it was a boy or a girl. And I'll show you the pictures that we got, because we got a 3D preview as well, so I'll put that in. But it's a girl. We found out it's a girl, another girl. So I've already got a 2-year-old daughter, and we're going to have another one, which is brilliant. I was so happy. I was hoping for a boy, because, you know, you want one boy, one girl. But I'm happy. I'm so happy I'm having another girl. And it also helps with the fact we kept all of my daughter's stuff. So, like all of her clothes and everything. So we you know, we don't really need to buy a lot of stuff for this baby, which is perfect. I couldn't be happier. As long as the baby's healthy, like I said before, if you watch my other videos, you'll know that I had a miscarriage in December last year, and it's just had that mindset where as long as the baby's okay and as long as I'm okay, I don't care. I don't care about anything else. Nothing happened really. I started feeling proper kicks at around 18 weeks. That was a lot later than with my daughter. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I started feeling kicks around 16 weeks. But I was a lot skinnier back then. And also this time my placenta is anterior, which means the placenta is like on the outside of my bump. So when the baby kicks, it's got to go through my placenta for me to feel it. So it's less likely for me to feel it early on, which is why I felt it 2 weeks later. And other than that, nothing really happened. I'm just going to I'm just going through a timeline now of what happened, and then afterwards I'll go through my symptoms that I had, like any big symptoms. I'm going to go through a lot, because obviously it's a lot of time that's gone. At about 20 weeks, we had our 20-week scan, obviously, and they confirmed again that it looked like it was a girl. I'm not 100% convinced with these scans. I know a lot of people find out by the scans, it's mainly always right, but there's always that chance they could get it wrong. So hopefully it's a girl, because now we've bought loads of stuff for a girl. But yeah, so they confirmed again that it was a girl, which has put our minds to rest a little bit better about the private scan that we had, and we decided on a name. So we are going to name her Olivia Iris Sedgley, which I think is a lovely name. We loved Olivia anyway, and Iris, I've picked Iris because it means rainbow. So because she's going to be my rainbow baby after a miscarriage, it's a nice sentimental name for her middle name. So I thought that was really sweet. So it's going to be Olivia Iris Sedgley. I was planning on doing a gender reveal and then a name reveal, but obviously I'm just going to tell you guys like this because I can start getting other videos out as well. 22 weeks we started buying things because we thought we were a bit safer in the pregnancy, because obviously sometimes you have to wait. Your mindset that you have, you wait until you know that everything's not perfectly fine, but everything's majority going to be okay. So we started buying things around 22 weeks, and then nothing really happened from 22 weeks until 30 weeks. And then at 30 weeks I had my bump painted. I will insert a picture. I had it painted for Halloween in the shape of a pumpkin, which was in memory of the baby that we lost at Christmas last year, because we conceived that baby around Halloween last year, and because of that we nicknamed that baby Pumpkin. So we go by that baby as Pumpkin. So we had that scan, that bump painting done in memory of Pumpkin, because we will never forget. I know I might have only been 10 weeks pregnant when I lost it, but I will never forget. It completely destroyed me, and it has changed my life forever, and I will never forget that baby. And so that was 30 weeks. I'm now 34. What's happened in the last 4 weeks? Symptoms, well, actually, I'm going to go through my symptoms. So, it's 6 to, like, around 16 weeks, 18 weeks, I had hyperemesis, which I've explained what that is. And that was basically the majority of the symptoms that I had in the first trimester, because it overpowered everything. Everything else didn't matter. All the aches and pains and growing pains and all that sort of stuff really didn't matter, because I was so sick. As soon as my hyperemesis went, I've not had very much luck in this pregnancy, by the way, just warning you. After my hyperemesis went, I had cold after cold after cold after cold. I was sick constantly, not physically sick, but like sinusy sick. So I had colds, I had the flu, I had a chest infection, it was horrendous. I just got over being sick, and then I got all these illnesses as well. And it led to chest infections, which wasn't good because it made my asthma flare up. So I had to have antibiotics. All this medication that I've had worries me, because I've had so many different things. Apparently the baby's fine, but it just worries me. Like, with my first pregnancy, I had no medication whatsoever. Apart from my asthma inhalers, I had nothing. But this time I've had anti-sickness, I've had antibiotics, I've had my inhalers, I've had my brown inhalers, which I don't really use anymore, but I've had to with this one because my chest infections flared everything up. So all this medication is just really worrying me. So from about 24 weeks, Olivia got into a really horrible position inside me where her feet kind of bent round my ribs, if that makes sense. It doesn't sound possible, but her feet were around my ribs for a good few weeks, and every time she moved, I was in absolute agony around my rib area. I don't know whether anything I don't think I would have broken any ribs, but my midwife did tell me that it looked like I might have just be some bruising or something, because it was so much pain. But that cleared after a couple of weeks. I'd say probably 2 weeks I had that at the most. Then she moved, or grew and moved. So then it was fine. 26 weeks, I had contractions. Now this was terrifying because I had no other symptoms of labour. I had nothing other than my uterus. I know about Braxton Hicks before you think, oh, it's just Braxton Hicks. I've had Braxton Hicks in this pregnancy since I was 16 weeks, and I know what they feel like. I get them quite bad. They tighten and they're uncomfortable. I wouldn't say they hurt, but the Braxton Hicks that I get are very uncomfortable. And these contractions that I started getting at 26 weeks weren't Braxton Hicks. It was like I was having the Braxton Hicks contractions, but at the same time I was getting pain, and the pain was everywhere. It was in my back, it was around my bump, it was down my legs. And I was terrified that I was going to go into preterm labour. So I went to hospital. I was just under the limit where they could do the non-stress test. I can't remember what it's called properly. But I was just below the limit. I think I was a day behind the limit. You have to be 26 weeks to have the non-stress test, and I was 25 plus 6. I don't know why they still didn't do it, because what difference is a day going to make? But they didn't do it, so they couldn't test whether I was actually having proper contractions or not. So they had to do, they had to check me, basically. They had to do, a swab and all sorts of stuff to check for certain things. And they said that I looked dilated, but it was probably because I had a child before. I don't know what they called it, but they said some mums that have had kids before, their cervix is slightly open anyway during the whole pregnancy or something. I don't know, it doesn't make any sense to me, but that's what they said to me. So I wasn't dilating, apparently, but they wanted to do the preterm labour test, the swab, on me anyway, just to make sure that I wasn't going to go into labour in the next couple of weeks. So they did that, and that came back negative. It came back perfectly fine. So they never actually found out what those contractions were until a couple of weeks later when I had more, and then I had more again, and it's happening now every couple of weeks. I have these contractions where I'm in a lot of pain. It's really painful, and I get these tightenings, and it terrifies me every single time I have them. But apparently it's because I have an irritable uterus, which means that any stimulation and anything out of what is normal for my body, like if she kicks in a weird position or she moves into a weird position, or if I accidentally bump my belly or something like that, it will cause these contractions, and it will cause discomfort, and it's because I've got an irritable uterus. Nothing is going right. So yeah, I have an irritable uterus, so I have to be careful with what I'm doing. I can't be doing a lot of stuff at work. I have to make sure I'm sat down. I need to rest every so often. Can't be on my feet for too long. I can't do a lot of walking, because walking stimulates it as well. So I need to be careful with what I'm doing from now onwards, basically, because I don't want to go into preterm labour. I don't want to have this baby now. Well, I would love to have the baby now, but obviously I'm only 34 weeks, so it's not safe for her to come out yet, and that's perfectly fine with me. Where am I? 28 weeks, I had my rhesus negative injection, because I'm rhesus negative, which is the blood type. So if you're rhesus positive, it's fine. If you're rhesus negative and your partner is rhesus positive, there is a chance that the baby can have rhesus positive blood, which means because I'm negative, my blood will try and attack the baby's blood, which means there could be complications. So I need to have this jab to make sure that doesn't happen. And it's perfectly safe. A lot of people have it. Like, a lot of people that I know that are pregnant right now have had to have it. It's something that's completely normal, but apparently back in the day, I found out from my midwife, back in the day, when they never had these injections, some mums could only have one child, and they couldn't go on to have more because they would lose them all, because their body would try and defend themselves against this baby that was apparently alien to the body, which I thought was fascinating. Like, modern day medication has made women have more kids. It's brilliant. So 28 weeks was that. When I had my 20-week scan, she was breech, and that's when they found out I had an anterior placenta as well, but she was breech. But now, since then, I had a growth scan. I was 32 weeks, so 2 weeks ago, I had a growth scan, because my midwife came round and measured my belly, and she said it hadn't grown in the 2 weeks that she last saw me. So she was a bit, like, worried, and I had some loss of movement as well. So I went in for a scan, and the baby's perfectly fine and is weighing, I think it was 4.7-ish on average. So hopefully the baby's perfectly fine. There's water, the placenta's working perfectly fine, the umbilical cord's in the right place, and the baby's growing on average, like perfectly on average, the line, which is brilliant news. So I just have a small bump again, like I did with my daughter. And everyone keeps mentioning it. Everyone keeps saying, oh, how small your bump is. How far gone are you? Like 20-something weeks? Like, no, I'm 34 weeks. You're 34 weeks pregnant. I get that a lot. I will show you at the end of this video my bump, and you'll probably see what I mean. But I do have a small bump, but apparently baby's fine, so I'm not worried. And they did about the movements as well. She's changed position. She's dropped already. I don't think she's engaged, like in my pelvis, but she's dropped a significant amount to the point where I can feel a difference in her movement. It lessened a bit, but now it's gone up a bit more. I think now she's got used to the position that she's in, and my body's like, this pregnancy's not been fun, trust me. But I've also had problems with my heart. Now, it seems to have slowed down a bit now, the problems I've been having. It started at about, I think it was about 28, 29 weeks, where I had really fast heart rate. Nothing, I could have been doing nothing. I could have been sitting down on the sofa and my heart rate would just go really fast, to the point I have a heart rate monitor on my phone, and it would go up to like 125 to 135 beats per minute, which is not normal. And when I was out having a meal once, it went up to 190, and I could feel my heart coming out of my chest. So I went to the doctors to try and get that sorted. They did an ECG, the ECG came back fine, but I wasn't having the palpitations at the time, so it would have come back fine. I'm still waiting for my 24-hour ECG, but I still haven't heard anything yet, so I need to chase that up. But they have lessened a bit now. I keep getting the odd moment where I'm having like 125 beats per minute, but it's not worrying me as much because it's not happening as often anymore. So hopefully that's nothing to worry about. It's probably just my hormones and my body, like, you know, getting stressed out over everything. But apart from that, guys, I think I've gone over everything. I probably have spoken really fast, and I do apologise. I wanted to get it out of the way without making a really, really long video. So I'm now currently 34 weeks pregnant, and symptoms that I have right now is just achy. My back is so painful. I can't walk very far because of obviously my irritable uterus. I can't walk far without these Braxton Hicks and contractions kicking up and causing me pain. And I have a lot of pelvic pain. Like in bed when it's worst. If I roll over, it really hurts. I have no sickness, no headaches, nothing like that. It's just more like physical bits of my body that hurt more than anything. I'm getting a lot of nipple discharge, like my milk's come out. My milk came through really early, but as the weeks go on, it seemed to be a faster flow. So I'm like soaking up breast pads at 34 weeks pregnant. Hopefully it's a good sign. And I do actually plan to have a home birth. So that'll be another video that I'll be doing, is explaining about the home birth, and I'll probably be going through the stuff that I have in the house for the home birth. But that probably that video won't be up until probably 38 weeks, because that'll be when I'll have everything ready. But apart from that, I think I've covered everything. And I'm going to try and make plans for more videos, but I'm going to be doing them every 2 weeks. So this is 34. I'll do another update at 36, then 38, then 40, if I go that far. But hopefully I'll be doing videos in between that of different things. It depends on different things. So I hope I will be getting a lot of videos out. And I do apologise at how long this video is, because I can tell I've been talking for a very long time now. If you guys could like, subscribe, and maybe leave a nice comment down below with some suggestions of what I could do in other videos. And that's it, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'm so sorry I've not uploaded any videos for about 5 months. But hopefully I will be updating with regular ones now. So, thank you. So, this is my 34-week bump. This is it with the top down. I don't know whether you can see it. This is it with my top down. And as you can see, for 34 weeks, I am quite small. As a lot of people keep telling me, I am quite small. And then you have to excuse my pants, I've got my lazy pants on. And then this is it with my belly and my top up. Okay, and to the front. And to the side. So yeah, like I said, I've got a small bump, but she's perfectly fine in there apparently, so I'm not going to complain. Thank you guys. Bye.